Welcome to the Between the Fur podcast, the show that allows professional mascot performers from the NBA and other pro sports to share their bizarre, funny and inspirational stories and give exclusive insight on what it's like behind the scenes and between the fur. Hosted by award-winning NBA mascot performer, Kenn Solomon.
Welcome to Between the Fur.
Appreciate I love it, man. I love it.
You know what? I usually say at this point, hey, me and so-and-so, we go back. We go way back. However, Trey and I don't. And there's a few, I don't mean to point that out, but it's kind of fun to finally be talking about you or talking with you because I've talked about you forever, heard about you forever. And the way you ended up here today is kind of because of my friend Scott Hessington, who you know as well. And we were just in Bulgaria doing a gig over there that he invited me to. And yeah, he's
lo and behold,
lo and behold, yes.
Lo and behold, here we are. No, I know our paths haven't crossed too much over the years, which is crazy. But obviously we've been watching you from afar and all the cool stuff you've been doing. And then we all know a lot of the same folks. So this will be fun.
Yeah, no, awesome. And reading up on your history and everything, you're one of the things that you put out there is that you are attracted to shiny objects, and
indeed,
I could really relate with that. Hey, before we get started here, I'm gonna give a few shout outs here to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. This episode is sponsored by Burr Bottles.
Introducing the ultimate companion for your hydration needs. These durable, insulated aluminum water bottles, crafted with high-quality technology. Burr bottles are designed to withstand the test of time. With their cup holder-friendly design, you can take them anywhere you go without any hassle. Burr bottles are engineered to retain the temperature of your favorite beverages for up to 24 hours, ensuring that your drinks stay refreshingly cold or piping hot throughout the day. Burr bottles are priced at a fraction of the cost compared to Yeti. So why settle for less when you can have it all and experience the perfect blend of quality, functionality, and affordability? Keep it chill with Burr bottles.
So Trey, again, thanks for being here. And
totally,
yeah, this is some good stuff. I wanna introduce you a little bit more here by one of the things that you have out there is that you are the brand whisperer.
That is true, Ken.
Yes.
That is true. That is. I was going to say when we were talking earlier, my life has been a disaster.
That is the best lead-in there.
It's been a disaster with a lot of fun along the way, but I don't know about you. I am an old man still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. So hopefully
I'm right
you're
there
going to
with
answer
you,
that.
although you're not as old as I am.
If you're 100, I'm 99. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay. You're an author. And
I'm an author.
Yeah, I love I have not, admittedly, read your book, but that is next up for me because reading up on, what it's about, I'm totally intrigued. And the title is Love is
Bananas, and it's basically it's part memoir and part, me going out asking people what love's all about, because my love journey has been challenging to say the least. I don't know if I'm the only one in the world that's had that, but
I think you are.
Yeah, that's what
I think you are.
My book is all about, man. So yeah, I'm excited to dive in today, and
yeah,
you should definitely read it. Although, when I wrote the book, I put some of my friends' names in there, my guy friends' names in there, in lieu of who I was talking about. None of them read the book because I was waiting for them to be like, "Oh my God, you put my name in your book." Crickets.
Oh,
like, man, none of my buddies are going to read my. I can put them in the damn thing, and they still didn't read it.
That's discouraging.
No worries, no worries.
I'm in the process of writing a book right now, and it's that might be a nightmare for me going through this whole process. Really, I mean, one of the reasons that I have you on here is obviously you were in the mascot world for a little bit. Tell me, let's start. Can we start there? Let's start there.
We can.
Okay.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, absolutely. So when I went to college, went to Auburn University, over in Alabama, and I grew up in
put out a
Atlanta.
few mascots here. Yep.
Put out a few mascots, and I remember being at a football game way up in the stands. I weighed about 110 pounds, skinny little dude, right? And I was a freshman at one of the games, and I looked down, and the little tiger was running around the field, just having a great time. I remember thinking, well, that looks like fun. I wonder how you do that, right? So
right.
I started asking around, and they're like, you try out, blah, blah, blah. So I tried out for the mascot at college, and they gave it to me, which is cool, I guess. And then once they gave it to me, they told me afterwards, oh, by the way, this is going to be a full scholarship position moving forward. And I told them, well, this is what I'm going to be doing moving forward. So cool. So yeah, man, I
so
did
that works out.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun in college, obviously. And then I wanted to go to vet school, and the vet school and I didn't see eye to eye on admissions, apparently, because they didn't let me in twice, even though I'm the tiger for the university, and I know what it's like to be an animal, so I can fix the animals. They didn't buy that line. So I graduated and was like, what am I going to do, man? Like, I graduated zoology, which would get you nowhere in life. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I started calling pro teams. Are you hiring? Are you hiring? And a couple of them were, and, I ended up at the Falcons for many, many years. And I was a mascot.
Crazy. What was your favorite takeaway from that? I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, I would love to talk stories and stuff, but what's your takeaway from the mascot experience?
Yeah, my takeaway is study when you go to school, kids. Study so that you don't become a mascot. Study so you can get into schools and grad schools and stuff.
Yeah.
No, it was totally fun, and like you, I'm an entertainer at heart, and I think some of us are just born with that, right? I was the quote unquote class clown, which stems probably from trauma and all the daddy issues we all have. But it's just
were you a middle child?
People. I was an only child.
Oh! Did you just said that, didn't you? Did you say? Yeah.
No, I didn't. But I was an only child, which is just a basket case because you're always up in your head.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was a middle child, so.
Gotcha.
Trying to fit
middle
in.
Child, the worst child, or the best child? What's like the tendency?
Kate's over here saying the worst.
Well,
hey,
there you go.
Yeah, he's the youngest.
There you go.
So, yeah, I'm always trying to fit in everywhere. I would say it's the best, but
there you go.
Apparently not. Yeah, and the mascot thing was right up my alley. So it's I fit. That's where I could fit in because I was a jack of all trades, master of none. Trying to fit in everywhere,
I think we all were. Yeah, man. So I did that for a while, and that allowed me to start a few other businesses, which have been fun. And, it's just been
one of those
shiny
businesses
object after another.
Yeah, you're also an entrepreneur. And I love, whenever I get together with my buddies, I'm always like, look, if you're new, think about life after. If you've been in this for a while and you haven't done anything on the side, think about life after. Mm-hmm. I had a great wake-up call, very blessed, back in 2008, 9, around there, where, the recession hit, people were fired at my company, they cut my salary by a third, and I was like, oh, yeah, that was a close one. That's a wake-up call. I need to get busy. I need to start grinding. And, I took life a little bit, down a different path at that point. So
yeah, totally. I think we all face those moments in life. To your point, it's like grow your skills somewhere, folks, because you're gonna need them.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And the mascot world is kind of a, I don't know. Is it a fantasy job? Is it a whole different world? I like to think that it's it's not really reality, because
it's not. I see us, especially you built such a huge program that it's it's business, right? And I'm sure you've talked about it on the podcast. It's you're running a business here. It's it's sales, marketing heavy, and obviously entertainment, customer experience piece is vitally important. But the mascot programs that do the best know that, and they run the business of it very well. I mean, you have to, or you don't make any money,
right?
And then you're just a clown on the side of the street. I think we've all been there too. So whatever.
Yeah. And I have two boys that are in costume, a third that is helping, and
oh wow,
like kind of back to your point where, hey kids, do what I say, not what I do. But they're learning that it's a business.
It's a job.
Yeah, it's a job. It's a business. You have a lot of free time to create. Imagine, test the waters. You have a lot of freedom there, but with that comes a lot of responsibility as far as the business side goes.
Indeed.
So, yeah. NFL, different than, most other sports. You're outside. You only have a few games, right?
Totally.
Compared to everybody else. And in Atlanta, you didn't really have the weather that some teams have.
Yeah. Or the team.
Or the team.
Or the team.
But
come on now.
Dang, yeah.
Hey, here's something interesting. So when I was with the Falcons, we had some obviously bad seasons. We had a couple of decent seasons when I was there, but we had some bad seasons. And I always tell people, and I don't know if you've experienced it in your career, but the seasons where the team isn't very good is when I would get all the attention as the mascot, and people loved me. The times when the team was good, they were like, "Get out of the way, mascot, because we're glued to the game because it matters." So, truth be told, the off seasons were kind of more fun than the winning seasons. Yeah,
right. I can totally relate. I had back in the lean years here, boy. I had so many people, hey, we only go to the games to see you. And then I had some management that moved on. And who it was Tim Lewicki. Tim Lewicki went on to do all kinds of big, amazing things. But yeah, he was, after he left, he's like, man, I'm telling you, as management, we knew people were showing up. Half of the building at least was filled with fans of you. And
that's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, so, okay, going into negotiations, he's like, dude, ask for everything. Ask for everything. Yeah. That was the year that I got not only a car, but a car allowance.
Yeah, moving up in the world. Moving up in the world.
Suckers. Nah, that was great. That was a long time ago. But they put a lot more. They put a lot more into the mascot.
Yeah, characters have come a long way. I mean, obviously programs and just the entertainment aspect at professional sports in America has really obviously come a long way because they're just trying to keep everybody's attention, right? And the customer experience has to get better and better and better, especially for basketball with you guys. It's like so intense and fun. And you guys have so many games.
Well, and when you can literally see, have a better seat at home.
Yeah.
That's the thing totally. Is why go to the arena? Why have season tickets if, you can pay for a subscription or whatever and see all the games and right up close and have instant replays.
Totally.
Yeah.
I watch everything on TikTok now, so whatever. I live my life 60 seconds at a time through TikTok. But whatever they want to show me.
That long, huh? 60
And I keep seeing, I don't know if it's on Instagram or I guess it's on TikTok. I keep seeing you and the bear. The bear bit all the time, and I keep watching it every time because it's so amazing.
That thing just keeps rolling.
Dude, I was like, how? And I know it's coming because I've seen it a bunch of times. But I'm like, how in the heck is he going to take that gigantic bear down the steps and not crush everybody along the way to get it to the person and you did. I was like, man, that's talent.
Yep. I didn't even think about that part. I think my biggest thing was, how am I going to get it down the stairs? I didn't care about mowing people down. I just, how am I going to get it there?
There to there. That's so funny. That's so funny.
But so, being an entertainer, what are some of your words of wisdom? Do you think it's better to be, focused or the master of none?
Yeah, what's interesting, and so now in this season of life, I'm a personal branding consultant. So I'm working with a group out in Nashville, and we help people like build their personal brand, whether they're writing books or want to start a podcast, or coaches or whatever it is, or just entrepreneurs that want to drive more leads. And so what I tell them, and as I look back on my journey and a lot of our journeys like you, I think storytelling is the most important thing in the world, especially for entrepreneurs, right? Whether it's somebody that's a character for a pro team, whether it's an entrepreneur, it's like, or somebody pitching to raise some money to start their own business, or getting somebody to buy something in their business, or, what's the story of the mascot and how do we make so it's like this storytelling piece has really been very powerful as I look back on my journey, and the things that have helped me the most is being able to, stack together a bunch of these cool experiences that we've both had so that we can tell these fun stories that brings us together, whether it's making new friends or businesses or whatever it is. I've learned that the whole storytelling bit is so important, and we need to keep having experiences that are unique and interesting, so we have stories to tell. Right. And so that's something that has really struck me, in this season of life. I'm not a million years old, people listening to the radio. I'm only 27. So plus a few. 27 plus a few.
Plus a few.
Ourselves.
You packed a lot in those 27 years, plus a few.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, man. So it's been fun.
No, I love that. Storytelling is everything. All the the fluff in between, the lessons. Yeah. Lessons I've learned. No, get to the story, and so and so tell me. Yeah. But you know what? This is kind of why, or this is the reason why I do this podcast. And I love in what I've learned about you. You say right here, one of your main goals is to educate and inspire. If we can get, minds turning, if we can get imagination in action and be a part of that,
right?
Hey, then, what we're doing becomes even bigger.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it makes me think how important, and maybe this is kind of one of your things, is I think it's fun to show people there's different ways to live life, right? Like you and I went on this different path, which is a mascot and then a professional mascot. It's like, oh, there's such thing as a professional mascot. And it's like, yeah, there's always unique ways that we can live life and live a successful and happy life. And I'm always inspired by other people doing unique things. And so I think that might be one of the things that this podcast you're doing is helping others, like, oh, wow, I don't have to live this cookie cutter life if I don't want to. If I want to, great. If I don't, there's all kind of things we can do. So yeah, I commend you for putting this effort in, for sure.
Well, speaking of things that inspire you inspired me to start a bus business that failed miserably.
Yeah. I was trying to take you down. So I was like, hopefully he'll see this idea, then he'll do it. And then we'll both be in the mud.
Yes. Taking me down with you. I just thought that was the most brilliant idea. And when I saw it, I was not quite in the place in my life where I could have made it work for me the way it needed to go. I mean, I built this great bus and this business and everything off of your model. But as I told you the other day, I was not mature enough at the time and in a good place to reach out and say, hey, how's this working for you? I would love to do this here. Any suggestions? Can I get your blessing? Hey, what would you suggest on this? You know, those types of things, instead of just trying to do it on my own, thinking I know everything.
I could have saved you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars by saying, Ken, don't.
Yeah, it was not my thing. And when the bus business, Cade's saying, So go ahead. You started this.
So I've become the mascot, right? Which gives me a lot of free time on my hands at the time because I was, with a team that wasn't very good. And so my buddies and I, we used to dress up in costumes just on a Thursday night. Like, we're just weirdos as is. And so one day there was 4 of us living in this bachelor house outside of college.
I thought you were going to say bus.
And my buddy and I always wanted to buy a hearse, like an old hearse, because when you're a kid in high school, you just think that's the coolest thing ever. Or maybe we did.
I was right there with you. Yep.
So we're like, let's buy a hearse. So we went out to this used limo lot, which is super weird. And long story short, we bought this limo for $1,000. And it was the kind of limo that follows the hearse in a funeral procession where all the seats face forward. So it was just like a terrible limo, but we turned the seats around, we put Christmas lights and fake fur and all in the inside of this limo, painted the outside pink, and it was just like our little party machine. So one year we decided, all right, we're going to drive this limo to Las Vegas from Atlanta, Georgia, which is a terrible idea, but it was a wonderful idea. We packed the trunk full of costumes, and that was the rule was, and there was 4 guys. The only thing you could wear at any time was costumes from the trunk. There was no normal clothes, and we just hit the road to go to Vegas for New Year's. So we drive across America, like through New Orleans, through Texas, up through Phoenix, up to Vegas. We got pulled over 26 times on that trip because the car was such a obnoxious thing. And we're driving through Texas. And I'd been driving forever, and then we're driving through, and if you can imagine a pink limousine that's like a 1980 big pink limousine, and the inside's all fake fur from the ceiling, Christmas lights. There's a big bass fish on the front, like just the most obnoxious thing ever. So we're driving through Texas, and it's middle of the day. I've been driving forever, and we pass a police car in the middle of the median in the highway, and I was like, clearly they're going to pull us over because they always pull us over. Sure enough, this dude pulls us over. And I hear, sir, can you step to the back of the vehicle, get out of the vehicle, come to the back? I was like, sure. So I get out, I walk back to the back of the car, and I'm standing in front of this big Texas cowboy hat, overweight police cop guy that was super Southern. And he looks at me and he goes, son, why are you wearing a motorcycle helmet? And I've been driving so long, I forgot I was wearing a motorcycle helmet, like an undershirt, polyester pants, no shoes, no socks. My buddy in the front seat was wearing a helmet, and the 2 guys in the back were wearing tiger costumes in the middle of the day in a pink limo in Texas. So did not go to jail, went to Vegas, came back from Vegas, and the car died. And so we were like, well, let's buy a little school bus. So we went and bought a little school bus for $2,000, fake fur, the whole inside, yada, yada, yada. And we just kind of partied on it. And it just became so popular. People were asking us hey, will you take us out for my birthday or whatever? And we're like, yeah, give me $100 or give me $200. And then it literally got so popular in Atlanta. I was like, well, maybe we should buy more and make this a business. And so the fur bus, that's what it's called here in Atlanta, started in 2000. And it's still going today. And I think there's like 12 or 13 buses still operating here in Atlanta. And
that is
it was
awesome.
To your point earlier, it's like, if you're listening out there, do not start a transportation company. Nobody. No. Terrible idea.
I hated it. I loved creating it. I loved creating my bus.
Part.
Yeah.
It's fun to build the bus And then it's not fun to pay for the maintenance on the bus and to clean up the bus. And the bus breaks down all the time. And then people are mad and on and on and on and on. You're like, oh my
Yeah, I
God,
want my
am I ever
money
gonna-
back, or
Yeah.
they're all of a sudden you look back and they're doing every drug
Yeah.
there is, and
Yeah, you're like, we're going to prison.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to prison. So.
I didn't drive mine all the time, but I did drive it once in a while, and took the players out.
Nice.
Took the
That's
players
pretty
out
cool.
after the All-Star game here in Denver.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Yeah, took them to the party.
I'm sure.
So
wow.
it was at some mansion. So I take them there, and yeah, I won't say what players, but man,
Yeah.
they were having a very good time, them and their dates.
Sure.
And
sure.
yeah, then I go back there and kind of cleaning up while they're at the party and whatever, and I'm, doing some emails or whatever. But I go back there and there's a couple guns back there underneath some underneath some pillows. I'm like,
Hey-o.
okay, all right. So
Love this business.
yes, I should have put a bulletproof thing right behind the driver's seat there, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was fun. What's that? And my bus was called the Funky Bus.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
I
think
didn't
I
wanna-
remember. I think I remember
Yeah.
yours coming out. I was like, oh man, I wonder how he's doing. Or maybe
Yeah.
I don't know if Brad Post was in your area at the time.
Yep.
He might have.
Yeah, he was
Might have
new
told
at
me
the
about it.
time.
But yeah, man, I did that, and then I was like, well, that was a struggle, and it just, like I said earlier, love entertaining like you, and became a DJ for a while because I was like, if I'm going to be in bars, I want all the girls talking to me, so they're all talking to the DJ. So how do I do that? So
See, I
became
like
a
how you
DJ.
approach things. You know,
strategic,
exactly.
strategic. And then I was like, no, they're talking to the bar owner, so I weaseled my way into owning a bar, a little dive bar in Atlanta, and she's kind of been on this crazy journey ever since. Still love entertaining, and I think entertainment is the currency of the future, really. I mean, if we look at creators on social media, like they're entertaining and they're making the most money, and so although AI is going to replace all of us, right? So there's be robots and whatever.
Yeah, clones and all that. Yeah. So with entertaining, what are you doing now? Other than your brand, you're a part of this company.
Yep. We're doing some personal branding strategy and consulting, which is a lot of fun. So right before the pandemic, I sold my bar and I had an event company, sold the fur bust to a dentist, and I got new teeth in that deal, which is amazing. So got some new teeth. So I sold all that and then started traveling the world with my buddy because he set a goal to go to every country in the world. And he asked me if I'd go to the hard ones because he didn't want to go alone. So, we hit 50 or 60 countries through Africa and the Middle East, and was having a good time. Wrote my book at that point, so I was going through that. Started
During the
coaching a
trip,
little
you
bit.
wrote this book? During it?
A little bit, yeah. And
Okay.
so some of the experiences while we were traveling, I wrote about in my book. But did that and then picked up with this company and just doing this like branding consulting piece, which is fun. Looking to write the next book and do more speaking and, just entertain, be on stage. It's so fun to inspire people and connect and all that jazz.
It is.
What
do you speak about?
So like my thing is really about connection. And about 10 years ago, I was basically at rock bottom. So I had the fur bus going, and I had, I think, the bar at the time and maybe the event company, but I was miserable. And I was depressed and all the things. I was single, and it was just super rock bottom moment for me. And I remember thinking, I got to get help. And I'd never been to a therapist or anything like that. And so I decided, I know what I'll do. I'll hire a business coach. Clearly a business coach can fix my life. So I just found this dude that somebody recommended, and I hired him, and he does a half-day, 4-hour session where he mainly workshops your business. So I go, and I remember sitting in there, and I was sitting in the seat, and I just remember being so low, like just miserable. And he's workshopping my businesses on the whiteboards and all this stuff. And I could tell he was kind of getting a little frustrated because we weren't going anywhere. And about 2 hours in, he goes, "Hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break, shake it off? I'm going to go grab some coffee. And how about this? Just for fun, why don't you write your definition of love on the whiteboard?" I was like, "All right, cool. I can do that." I mean, I can't figure out any of my businesses or my life, but at least I can answer that question. You know, I mean, I'm paying for this, man.
Yeah, that's
So I thought
an
about
easy
it.
one.
Yeah, that's a layup. So I thought about it, and I answered the question. And when I wrote it, I was like, "Oh man!" And so he came back in, and he looked at what I wrote, and he was like, "Oh man, maybe we should start there." And I wrote, "Love is the worst hell on earth." And when I wrote that, I mean, it was like everything in my life made sense up to that moment. Like a lot of hard stuff when I was a kid, and growing up, only child, and just a lot of crazy stuff. And so I realized in that moment that love was always associated with pain for me. And that was the reason I wasn't connecting with people and businesses. And, if I connect the dots backwards, I was a mascot. So I always had that protective,
Mask.
there's
you
always
had a mask on.
Yeah, we have a mask between us and people. When I was a DJ, I had a booth between me and the people. When I owned a bar, I had a bar between me and the people. And so all these things started coming super clear. And in that moment, I decided, like, I gotta change that. Like, I don't want it to be like that, because that's terrible. I want to love and all this. And so since then, I went on this journey to figure it out and ask people, what is love and how do you do it, and like really change. And I've done some therapy and the Tony Robbins and the ayahuasca and all the things on my journey to kind of not have it be this terrible pain. And so from that, my book came out, which is, like you mentioned earlier, Love's Bananas. And it's really a memoir of my journey to change that in my life, right? Because I don't, it was a lot of self-hatred and a lot of bad stuff going, insecurities and all that stuff. And so I've been on this journey to change that. And that's kind of what led me to the book. And so when you ask the question, it's like, to me, at the end of the book, I was like, connection is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. And so I've been living my life disconnected, like from friends, from lovers, from businesses. And so my thing is, how can we overcome this disconnection, in our lives and connect with each other in meaningful relationships? Because I think, what else is there?
Right.
Like at the end of the day, life shared is better than life alone, whether that's a friend or a dog or a lover or family or whatever it is. So that's been, the past, I don't know, 10, 12 years is me trying to figure all that out, which has been pretty hard, to be honest. And so
let me ask you, before that point and before the depression and the low spots, didn't you think at that age that at that point in your life you had it all figured out? You were having fun.
Yeah.
And I got this, man.
Yeah, dude.
I'm a mascot. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mover and a shaker, and got things, all handled. Yeah.
Man. It was like 20s, 30s.
That's where I was.
It was like, man, I'm having a good time, but I just wasn't building deep relationships, right? I was all surface level. I mean, I was the funny guy. So anytime conversation got real, or I would just tell jokes and just keep it surface at all times. And so I could, I'm an only child. My mom and dad were only children, so I never had family, right? And so this whole love, and I just not good at it. So I have to practice and learn and study relationships and stuff. It's
one of the things that John Absey, and I'm not sure if you know him very well, but when he left the Jazz, without wanting to leave the Jazz, he said the one thing that he was missing was the people. I'm like, oh, so you miss entertaining, you miss that high-fiving and all that stuff. He was like, no. The people at the arena, the people behind the scenes, the security, the ushers, all the people that he had built a relationship with over the years, and he's the king of it. I'll point him out every time as the king. He's got that handled. He knows people. He knows how to just connect, and he doesn't care who you are. It's just everybody loves him because he loves everybody. And I wasn't like that. This is a little known fact about me. I do not know sports. Like at all. I have no interest in sports.
Me either.
I mean, I love to be there and I love to entertain. And I mean, I actually had to learn the game of basketball.
Yeah.
First game, I sat courtside. My very first game before I got in costume. I was hired. I sat there courtside with the president of the company. And I'm like, do I ask him all the questions I have about this game, or do I say
what
things?
is going on here?
Yeah. I had, look, I had played basketball on, growing up in just growing up. I was never on a team.
Yeah, I am same, dude. I never was into sports, and I'm still not.
But I hired an assistant that knew everything about the game. About every game, about every player in every sport. Scott Strait was his name. He was with me for about 7 or 8 years. And I love traveling with him because everywhere you go, overseas and everything, everybody's like, okay, so tell me about the team. Tell me about the trade. What do you think about that trade? What do you think about that? And I'd be like, Scott, what do you think about that trade? He'd be like, okay, this is everything. Okay, so he went to school here, and then he got traded there. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. All I have to do is sit here and eat my nachos.
Yeah, I was the guy that they're like, what do you think about this player? And I'd be like, is he on our team? Like, I don't know. I just get a goof off. Like, I go to the games and goof off. That's what they pay me for.
Exactly. And I didn't know about trades. Like,
yeah, dude. I remember I was in. We went to Japan for like a preseason game or something, and we were playing the Cowboys. And the night before they had this big banquet for both teams, right? So I'm the mascot for the team, and so I roll over to this banquet with a few of the cheerleaders. And I remember I'm standing with one of our cheerleaders, and like, bless her heart, she was amazing, but and so Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith, we somehow get in front of Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith, who at the time were probably the biggest football players in the whole world.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there with my cheerleader on my team, and she goes, which team do you guys play for? Like, oh no. I'm going to see you guys later. I'm going to go over here and just bury myself in the hors d'oeuvres.
I'm not with her. She's here for looks.
So
what was their reaction?
They just they were super polite. They were like, oh, they were like, oh, we play for the Cowboys. Like, yeah, they played for the Cowboys. I'm going to go get another drink. Just leave me alone. So I never will forget that. But yeah, man, I wasn't really into sports either. And I wonder how many mascots are not into sports. Probably a lot of us.
I think so. As I do this podcast, most are not into sports.
Yeah,
they're entertainers at heart and everything. And when I'm looking for an assistant, one of my first questions is, what do you know about the team?
Yeah, study up.
No. I don't want them to know anything about the team. I could care less if they know anything about the team. Really? What's that? Yeah. No, sorry.
That's funny.
Sorry. So Cade's correcting me over here. This is my
Cade in the house.
My producer.
I love
He's like, yeah, now you ask that question. Yeah, before it was, I'm so glad you know something. Yeah, but I worry about if they're going to be focused on me or the game, if they just want to be here because they want to be on the court next to a player.
That's true.
Yeah, the one thing I want to ask you before we go, philosophy of life. You've given me some things about the mascot world. You've given me some things about love. At this time in your life or whatever, what would you do different? What do you want to do in the future?
Ooh, just a simple question from Kenn.
Yes.
Just what's the answer to all of the things? Yeah. So for me,
Trey, Dr.
I love
Humphreys.
creating. I love creating. I want to write more books and present and speak, but speak around what I've learned, which is, I have to get a lot better at building meaningful relationships. I mean, that's always been my struggle my whole life, and it's hurt, right? It hurts, and I think it hurts all of us. So, for young people, old people, I really believe that building relationships and learning how to communicate with people and learning how to tell stories and learning how to listen and learning how to show up for yourself and all those things that we read about in all those personal development books is true, because it's like we need these relationships because they fill us up and it allows us to serve other people and inspire other people through our art, which for us is like bringing a smile or moving around or writing or whatever the thing is. So yeah, that's my journey. That's kind of what I'm trying to get better at is, introvert. That is hard. It's hard for me to connect with people. I'm trying to
I don't see in you. I don't see that in you.
Most people don't.
But that's interesting. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that is probably the takeaway from this. And it's an important one. As I wrap this up, I listened to one of your company's podcasts this morning about launching a book. I'm like, holy, yeah, we're going to be talking. We are going to be talking. Yeah,
let's do it, man. So, we've figured it out. So
yeah.
Oh man, I'm so, people,
this seems like such good timing for me, and I don't believe that in coincidences myself. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I will be reaching out on a different note. So I appreciate that. Give me the contacts for you, how we can how people can, if they're just listening and they're not going to look at the links and all that stuff, how can they get a hold of you?
So all my socials are Trey Goes Global, TREY Goes Global. Those are all my socials, and my website is iamtrey.com. So there I am. Hit me up. Let's connect. That's what I'm trying to do is connect with people, and obviously, and come out and see you sometime when I'm out that way, and we can hang out. I would
love it.
Share more stories. So that'll be fun.
All right, brother. Thanks so much. Thanks for your time. Absolutely. I sure appreciate it. Man, you're a good man, good heart, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for listening. And now you know that there is a person inside there, a living, breathing human with emotions and feelings. If you would like your friends and family to know what is between the fur, please share. See you next time on Between the Fur.